This marketing hack changed my business forever, and I'm going to break this down into kind of two segments: how you need to be looking at your business in general, and then the number one thing that you should be doing right now in order to actually scale your business. So let's break down how you should be looking at your business in general. I'm going to compare and contrast this with how I see most e-commerce brands looking at their business, right? So let's start there. Most e-commerce brands, at least what I see them looking at their business as advertising to whatever this might be, right? Most of them go to a PDP page, so your product page where your, product is, and then there's the buy button and all that kind of stuff. And then it goes to the checkout, and some more advanced brands, they're looking at what happens after the checkout. And I say advanced is becoming more common, but you'd be surprised how many brands don't actually look at what happens after their checkout, but upsells, downsells, maybe an order bump on the checkout. But this is where they spend majority of their time. Not to say, e-commerce brands, there's some out there that might be running to advertorials and they might be a little bit more sophisticated. I'm just talking generalization right here. So most e-commerce brands, what I see, they spend a lot of time here and here. These are the wrong areas to be putting attention, because they start hyper optimizing their ad creative, their ad copy. They start optimizing their PDP pages, what's below the fold, what's above the fold, all the little buttons and gizmos and gadgets. And then they even go after the checkout and everything, but that doesn't even make any sense if you're running right here. That's how they look at their entire business. So sometimes I jump into brands and I see they've got 10 different types of campaigns, 15, 20, 30 different types of campaigns, all going to a different PDP page or an advertorial, etc., when they need to actually be looking at their business as a more holistic system of actually building trust with their customer. You're not just selling products anymore. You can't do that. The barrier of entry into this game is way too low. People are just jumping in and stealing your lunch. Amazon could take your audience any time of the day, and you have to yield to their margins and everything like that just to get in front of the customers, and then you have to fight tooth and nail to get that customer over to your domain, right? And any competitor can jump into the space, for most brands, can jump into the space, replicate your product, and take your customer at the end of the day. So this is not a good way to be running your e-commerce brand. Instead, the way you need to be looking at your business from a holistic point of view is like this. You've got two sides of this thing, right? You've got a store, right? Why do we go to stores? We go to stores to buy things. And when we're ready to go purchase things, a lot of e-commerce brands try and jump right to the gun, right? It's just going from an ad right to the store. But a store is where somebody needs to go to purchase things. Now up here, we need to lead with information to ultimately build, let's do like a little arrow right here, to build trust, right? Because it's very hard to take somebody from just ad to store and then assume that they just have the immense amount of trust with you and they're ready to purchase your product, right? So then you start getting into that game, like how can we hyper optimize the copy and the click rate and the conversion rate on the product page, when it's a lot easier just to speak human to human and build trust with that person. So what you need to be doing is looking at your business in these two segments and saying, okay, what can I do on the front end from ad to build trust, right? So this might be an ad to an advertorial, for example. That's a good way. That's a good way to start dipping your toe in. This might be an ad to, a training. It might be an ad to a master class. I like to do these a lot. It might be an ad to a VSL. So you might try and sell the product right away, but you lead with a VSL first. Or it might be an ad to a long form sales letter. There we go. There's the abbreviation for it. So there's a lot of different avenues you can bring people in through the door and still sell your products, but don't just try and sell your products up front. Try and sell the information, get them through the door, and get them actually looking at, all right, why should I listen to this brand? Why should I trust this brand? And build that trust with them over an extended period of time. Then on the back end, don't worry about the ads anymore. You could still do like a retargeting ad to a PDP page. And now that retargeting ad, that cost per acquisition is going to be a lot lower as compared to something up here, right? Because you already have some amount of trust built with them that you could just run the retargeting ad, send them to the PDP page. But here, what we want to be looking at is our comms, like our communications, going to our store, right? Or our PDP pages, or social just general social posts going to our store, because you're feeding these people into your ecosystem, your business. Remember that holistic point of view. You're feeding these people into your ecosystem. They're learning things. They're learning to trust you. They're going through a master class. They're applying your teachings, and they're getting results out of it. And so why would they want to go anywhere else? I'm getting results from this brand here. Why would I go shop with this brand? So they're getting that stuff. They're falling into your ecosystem. That way, when you start running newsletters and sending out sale campaigns through SMS and email, or doing social posts, they're actually effective, because you can now send them to the store, and this person already has trust with you. It's an easy way to bridge that gap over to just this. So that's in a broad sense, that's the overall hack that we figured out in order to scale that brand from 0 up to $50 million plus. Because we started playing this game of only doing information, and then we tried only products. And then what we found is like, hey, when we lead with information and we get people through the door and we build trust with them, we get them their desired result, they stick around. We don't even have to advertise to them anymore. We just run a sale campaign, or we just blast an email out, and they come purchase from us. That's the important piece. Now let me jump to, if I can reach over this here. Let me jump to the one thing that you should be focusing on to help apply this, right? This is what I did for 2.5 years when starting this brand. The first 2.5 years was the most we made in the year, I think $725,000. And it was like overnight. Once we got that holistic view, once we got that in place, we were able to scale. But the thing that allowed us to scale was something I call the accelerator pedal. And that accelerator pedal is an offer or a funnel that is self-liquidating on the front end, gets a new customer in for a really low cost per acquisition, and the rest of the funnel is just there to kind of feed them into your ecosystem, but also increase the average order value of the customer to negate the cost to acquire them, right? So what this is, I'm just going to put AC right now for accelerator, right? And so what this offer is, we want a new customer cost per acquisition that is, for us, it depends on your brand. So I can't give you an exact number. So for us, it was, $30 was good. If we saw a $25 new customer cost per acquisition, we were pressing down that gas pedal. If we saw this, we were scaling. So you want to pay attention to this new customer cost per acquisition in relation to your lifetime value over the course of, we looked at 20, 30, 60, and 90. And this is how much your stomach can handle, right? If I'm tracking my new customer cost per acquisition just for my accelerator offer here, only my accelerator offer, no other funnel offer, anything like that, just people that came through this, and I'm seeing that I'm making my $25 back in 30 days, I'm scaling, because I know between 30 and 60 I'm going to be profitable on it. Now, if you see it before that, then I'm really scaling. But, it depends on your business and your stomach. If you see a 90-day, you might be willing to scale, but it just depends on the health of your brand and everything. Okay, now let me get to this offer. Sorry, one more thing. This new customer, we looked at a ROAS, and once again, this depends on your brand, but you want to be near, very near, a 1-to-1 for ROAS perspective. And the reason you want to be near this is because if you have some COGS tied into this offer, that 1-to-1, you got to factor that in. So your 1-to-1 might be, you might need a 1.24 or something along those lines. Let me not go too far into those details. That will get really confusing. All right, so what you want to be doing here is an ad to an offer that is essentially a really low cost per acquisition. You can get them through the door very cheaply. And then the rest of the funnel, right? At this point, Shopify, they're not going to do you justice. Check out applications like, depends on what you're selling actually, but it depends. Information, check out ClickFunnels. If you're selling physical products, don't do ClickFunnels, do Funnelish or Checkout Champ. Check those out. And then you're going to take them through a series of upsells and downsells in order to try and get that average order value up, right? So if I'm acquiring a customer, so they make their initial purchase, and that costs me, let me move out of the way here, $25, By the end of this funnel, in my offer right here, we did a free book plus ship. The most that they're going to spend is $7.95. By the time they get here, we want that value of their order to be $25 plus. That way it's self-liquidating. We paid $25 for somebody to purchase something from us, and then by the end of the funnel, on average, we want a $25 average order value. Every customer going through this funnel isn't going to be worth $25, but on average, depending on your upsells and downsells, we want that $25. So if we found this and these metrics made sense, right? If we're getting that new customer cost per acquisition of $25 and it was aligned with our lifetime value, and this is getting really complicated, I apologize, it aligns with our lifetime value of being whatever we feel comfortable with. If we want to scale based on 20, based on the health of your business, at the end of 20 days, if the value from that new customer was $25 or more, we could scale. And we wanted to press that accelerator pedal down, flood a bunch of new customers in, right? And if we flood a bunch of new customers in and we're doing this right, then look at this. They're all going into our store. They're coming in through our comms, our social media, our retargeting. They're flooding into more information-based funnels, etc. to learn more. They might not be ready to purchase the product just yet. And it just allows an ecosystem where you actually have an accelerator pedal to push down to actually scale your brand up, rather than having a bunch of ads going to PDP pages and them tuckering out at different levels of scale. Instead, narrow your focus down to one offer that has a really low cost per acquisition to get somebody through the door. And then once you get favorable numbers, scale that offer way up and flood people into that ecosystem. Essentially what we created on the back end was just a marketing machine. And then on the front end, we just balanced it with other offers to build trust, to keep overall advertising profitability level or high, or depending on where you want to be aggressive wise. And then we looked for that one offer that we could just break even on. And once we got favorable numbers, we scaled that thing up. Took us 2.5 years to figure what that funnel is and how to make all those numbers work. It shouldn't take you that long. Learn from this, structure your business so it's a holistic point of view and it's not just selling widgets and powders, and actually pour into building trust and rapport with your customers, and you will build a profitable business at the end of the day.